College Tip-Off 2025-2026 is upon us. Kevin Holden and Todd Gibson. See, I told you, if you've been watching our College Blitz shows, I told you that Sarah and Gibby were around. They were the ones doing the actual work while I sat in here and yapped. I stole Gibby for a little bit here. Gibby, there's a basketball program in Durham that's, from what I understand, pretty good at the game.
They're not bad, but they got a tough task to follow from last year's team. I tell you what, just doing some research on those guys last year, how good that team was. You saw them last year, how good that team was last year. Yeah. And this year's team, it's got some work to do to catch up to those guys. But then again, Duke is Duke, and Duke will be good again this year.
Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns, no doubt about it. Welcome to the College Tip-Off Show. Gibby and Kevin, and we're talking about those Duke Blue Devils. So last year's team, going back to it. For me, the stat that stands out among this team that made it to the Final Four, that got the passion stirring again, got John Scheyer that first really good legacy chapter. Mm-hmm. All five of them got drafted. Yeah. The entire starting five. You have to replace an entire starting five that got drafted.
Yeah. And I'm glad you started with that, because they return six players actually. They return a starting five that is an NCAA team. Now, check these out. You got Caleb Foster and Isaiah Evans in your backcourt. Okay, you got Malik Brown. Hopefully he's healthy. Mm-hmm. Darren Harris, who is their most improved player. Right. We could talk about him a little bit more, but he is their most improved. He is playing lights out right now. And Patrick Ngungba. That is a good starting five right there, and that's not even talking about bringing in the best freshman class in the nation. That's pretty incredible. That starting five right there might make a somewhat of a deep run into the NCAA tournament. And then you throw in these great freshmen coming in. Duke they just reload every year. It's amazing.
And you're talking about the great, the boozers and these freshmen that come in. But I thought it was interesting that at ACC Tip-Off, this event that begins the season, John Scheyer brings in Caleb Foster and he brings in Malik. These two guys who were there last year, and he was trying to paint the picture at ACC Tip-Off of building the culture around the guys who were around last year. Those two weren't starters last year, but they know the culture.
No, they do know the culture. And to have Caleb Foster back, that was big, because everybody assumed like halfway through the season, because he wasn't playing halfway through the season. He was not playing at all. That he would hit the transfer portal, but he was stuck with it. He wanted to come back. He wants to be a Blue Devil. He came back, and here he is back with the Blue Devils this season. And I think he might have a big season. And Malik Brown, if he can get healthy, that's the guy who, when the game's tough and you need somebody to stop, you need a defensive stop. They've got scores all up and down that lineup. If they can get somebody in there that can get a defensive rebound, get a block a shot, play some good defense, make the good pass, Malik Brown is that guy. So if he's healthy this year, that's going to be a huge boost for this basketball team.
It was a knee procedure that had him sidelined summer and early into fall, but sounds like he was very close. As of ACC Tip-Off, he was very close to joining that.
And they're taking it kind of slow with him right now, if I hear right. So then that's a good thing. And, they'll need him late in the year for sure.
Long season.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. All right, so from ACC Tip-Off, John Scheyer talking about the guys who returned and how much they mean to this team.
Hungry to start the season. We know it's going to be a really difficult schedule that we have to play, but these guys are up for the challenge, and I think part of the identity of this group in a world of so many players transferring and the instability started with the fact that we had five guys decide to come back and give us a strong base to this team, along with five newcomers, and then we had several transfers come in that basically gave up the opportunity to play to come make an impact on our program.
So that being the case, the combination of guys that returned, there are some new guys and then transfers that came in, and Scheyer specifically mentioning that basically what they gave up, those transfers gave up, is a chance to be a superstar, because that happens elsewhere. Yeah. But at Duke, it's a different story.
Yeah, it really is. You come in here, you want to come in here, you want to win. You need to fit in. Sion James was a great example last year of that. He was phenomenal. He came out of nowhere. Nobody expected him to be the player he was. All he asked for was a chance to play. And then he not only got that chance to play early, he became a starter and a starter all through the season. So, you bring in players like that who want to fit in with the culture of Duke, and I think that's probably the first thing he looks for is are these guys that can fit the culture of Duke basketball? Not somebody to come in, I want to score 30 points. Well, you're not going to do that at Duke. Right. You want to come in and fit in, and he's done a good job of bringing those type players in. And then, of course, every year he gets the best freshman class in the nation. So that's quite a lethal combination right there when you can get those good transfers and still get the best players, high school players, coming in your program.
It's amazing to think that right on the cusp of the season. We know that there's talent there in that incoming freshman class, and there's no question about it. But we don't necessarily know how it might come together. I mean, it may be. I still wonder how much Boozer will there be in the minutes played this year. I mean, I know they'll be significant, but will it be one? Will it be both Boozer brothers? Like where are the Boozer brothers going to stand in this whole thing?
Well, of course they lose Cooper Flagg last year, a generational player.
Sure.
And Cameron Boozer is thought of just maybe a step below a generational player. So he will get a lot of minutes. He will probably lead the team in minutes this year, I would think. So he will get a lot of playing time, and he could be not as good as Cooper Flagg was last year, but he will be a fantastic player this year, maybe one step below him. And then his brother Caden will fight out with Caleb Foster to see who will be the starter, but both will play a lot of minutes. And in fact, Caleb Foster talked about possibly those two playing together at times as well. So there's plenty of minutes for the Boozer brothers. There's going to be a lot of Boozer on that court this year.
A lot of Boozer. It's going to be a significant chunk of what goes on with that Duke team. Now, going back to San Antonio, back to the Final Four, and a Duke group that, I mean, look, I know that team doesn't look anything like this team, but there are some. We mentioned, Malik as one of those people who was around for that, who can pass stuff along. Malik was a significant contributor in that game, despite the injuries. What can they learn from Scheyer's first Final Four, from the first Final Four for these players? What can they learn from that experience going to San Antonio and then getting bounced?
Well, you learn that you have to play every game. I mean, every game is important. Your first couple of games in the NCAA tournament probably will be laughers, but as you go further and further into the tournament, it gets really tough. There's teams out there that just come out and know. Basketball is a sport where you can fill a great team pretty easily. All you need is 5 players. All you need maybe is 2 players. It's not like football, So there's teams all over the nation who are coming out of nowhere that have gotten some good players. Usually those teams that come out of nowhere are teams with veteran players. And I think that's what maybe hurt Duke last year a little bit, is they didn't have those veteran players. They had Cooper Flagg and they had the Con Knipples and those players who were freshmen. But and they run into those teams that have kids, players that are 24, 25 years old, and it's just a different animal. It really is as you go deeper and deeper into the tournament.
Different when you're 18 or 19 and having to deal with that.
No question about it.
So, all right, Malik Brown. We mentioned we were talking about his recovery, the shoulder, the knee. This was Malik speaking in Charlotte at the tip-off.
I've had an incredible medical staff, and without God, I couldn't have done it. So just keep praising and thanking every moment I've had, not taking anything for granted. And just enjoying the moment, living in the moment, and now just spending the time during the summer just rehabbing, getting my body right, just like Coach said. Just our whole summer pretty much was just individual growth. So just having little small workouts, making sure my condition is still there, get my body right, just making sure we have a good senior year.
The one thing that Scheyer mentioned in Charlotte was that he hadn't seen everybody practicing together because of taking it slow with Malik. It was the right call medically, but it was the one. If there was a complaint from John Scheyer, it's the closest that you'll get to a complaint from John Scheyer, was that he hadn't seen this full group, and that the closer they get to the season, the more chance that he'll get to see that whole team with Malik on the court.
And that's okay. I mean, because like you said, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint coming out. It is a definite marathon, and you're going to make the tournament. So you just get to the tournament, get there healthy. So if a player isn't feeling well, set him out a couple games. Make sure he comes back 100% and gets himself in shape, healthy and ready for the long haul, because it is a long basketball season, and you want to be healthy heading in to the NCAA tournament. Usually the team that wins it is a team that is healthy and hitting on all cylinders when they hit the NCAA tournament.
All right, so we've broken down what this roster might look like, what John Scheyer has, what he's working with for the season ahead. But I think you can't talk about Duke basketball without talking about Duke basketball. You know what I mean? The mystique, how Duke basketball comes to be a thing. What happens culturally with this team that makes them what they are on a regular basis, on a year-to-year basis? Do you have a handle? I mean, other than the fact that they're Duke and that now has been a tradition for X number of years, other than that, what can you point to?
Good players, really good players, and great coaching. You go from Coach K to John Scheyer. people were kind of questioning Scheyer because he was so young coming in. He has been fantastic. He hasn't taken him to the mountaintop yet. Got him to the Final Four last year. He's headed that way. His recruiting has been off the charts, probably better than Coach K's. Right. Amazing as that may sound, but it's just the mystique of playing Duke basketball. They're so hated throughout college basketball, and rightfully so. They win every year, and they win doing it right. So that says something about your program right there, is that people hate you because of how good you are. And that's the society we live in right now. But Duke basketball, boy, every year, just the mystique on that team and just the way they come together. But being well coached, it's just a great program. It really is.
The era, I think, helps them too. In other words, you're dealing now with a much different feel with NIL, with the transfer portal. There used to be, remember Kentucky when Kentucky was one and dones and they were getting diminishing returns on the one and dones?
Because they were playing a bunch of freshmen.
Right.
Yeah,
and
all freshmen heading in the tournament.
And
it didn't work.
The Calipari, dealt with so much heat because of all of that. I feel like that era is it's way different now. It's almost understandable that you're just gathering the best talent, and in some cases, the best talent that your money affords you to buy. Right. And in Duke's case, now, when you have a group that leaves for the draft, it's not necessarily a big drop off because of what they can do. Now, this was the most telling moment for me when we talk about what is Duke basketball, what is the culture. This is John Scheyer talking about what he calls the other 98%, which is this. And look, I'm guilty of it. On a nightly basis, when we run a show, we're talking about, oh, look at this thunderous dunk. Look at this terrific three-pointer in this situation. This person hit 5 straight threes. And John Scheyer said, that's 2% of the game. There's 98% of the game that isn't that gets you wins. This is John Scheyer.
Teaching our players to find their truth, understand what impacts winning, and it's really the 98%. I can go through any example from last year's team to any team I've been a part of. The best teams I've coached or played on are the teams that embrace and excel at the 98%. It's the rebounding, it's the next play mentality, it's the defense, it's understanding time and score. And so we teach it in real time in practice. We watch film on it, and that we're consistent with that message.
Bottom line, they do a lot of work, and a lot of it isn't about hero ball.
So is making the extra pass possibly, taking the charge, doing the pick and roll to perfection. That's pretty boring on ESPN, wouldn't it be? I would think that'd be pretty boring highlights, don't you?
Yeah.
But you know what it does? It produces wins.
Over and over and over. And it's happened for decades, and it's happening now in the John Scheyer era. All right, we're ready for Duke basketball season. Gibby, appreciate the insights. Cannot wait to get this thing going for 2025 and 26. And we will be back on CBS 17 Plus on a weekly basis to talk basketball. We're going to do that a little later in the season. We're going to wait until we get to the meet of conference schedule before we start doing that. But we appreciate you watching. Please keep on with us here at CBS 17 Plus for the best digital content, football, basketball, and more.